Welcome to all grade 9 learners and educators. My name is Linda Hackner and I represent the Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Centre. We've been bringing to you units that cover the section in your curriculum dealing with the failure of the Weimar, the rise of the Nazi Party, outbreak of World War II, the Holocaust, people's experiences, and rescue and resistance. In this section, we're going to be looking at Nazi Germany and South Africa in World War II. Grade 9, in the last unit, we discussed that after World War II, countries got together and decided that it was necessary to have a document which outlined what universal human rights were, so that what happened in the Holocaust could never happen again. Most countries, apart from 8, did not sign, South Africa being the 8th country. Now we must ask ourselves why. Why didn't South Africa sign? Let's have a look at South Africa's history. South Africa had a history of policies of segregation and separation long before World War II, long before the Nazis were in power, and while South Africa was under the Dutch and the British administrations. So there was racism already in place in South Africa. But in 1948, the same year that the Declaration of Human Rights was written into law, the National Party passed into law the policy of apartheid. This, of course, had already been in place through racist practices, but now was actually written into law. From 1950, South Africans were classified on the basis of their race, so that you had 4 groups of classification: native, colored, Asian, white. By 1966, 11 million people had been classified under this Population Registration Act of 1950. So let's look at how these laws were implemented and think about the effects that they would have had on the citizens of South Africa. You look here at an image of a little girl sitting on a bench which is marked Europeans only. Now, they didn't say whites only, it was Europeans only. That was the terminology at the time. And what that means is that the little girl with the white skin can sit on the bench, but the woman who's clearly her caretaker and the one who's looking after her may not sit on that bench. So there was social separation of the most basic kind. This is a particularly nasty sign that said natives, Indians, and coloreds, if you enter these premises at night, you will be listed as missing. Armed guards shoot on sight, and savage dogs will eat your corpse. You have been warned. This is a sign at a station in Pretoria. And I want you to look at the terminology again. It says this is a suburban station for non-whites. So in other words, if you think about the use of the word non-white, you are white, superior, or you are a non. You're just not white. So it's not that you are what you are. You are judged by what you are not. These are some of the shacks that people were forced to move into after they'd been removed from their homes, and sadly, some people today still live in such dire circumstances. And this is an image of a beach, and please note, it's a beach area for whites only. So the beach is all but deserted with a few people sitting on it, but people of color would certainly not have been allowed onto that beach. So you can see that all of these are designed to separate, isolate, humiliate. You might remember me saying those words before in the context of Nazi Germany. Let's look at the consequences. Citizens regarded as inferior, i.e. not white. They are stripped of their citizenship in that they cannot vote. The first time all people in South Africa could vote was in 1994. They do not have equality of rights. They cannot get certain jobs, and their education is jeopardized because the government does not give as much to their education as it gives to the education of white learners. They are deprived of family life because families are separated. They are dispossessed of their land, and they are robbed of their dignity. They are humiliated, and they are abused. So these are the consequences of racist laws in apartheid South Africa. Let's look at some similarities to Nazi Germany of the consequences of the Nuremberg laws. People are stripped of their citizenship, which means they are not allowed to vote. They do not have equal rights. They cannot do particular jobs, and they are deprived of a decent education. They are deprived of family life. They are dispossessed of their land. They are robbed of their dignity. They are humiliated, and they are abused. Now, I want to just make this very clear, grade 9, that you cannot conflate histories. And when I say conflate, I mean you cannot take two different histories that take place at different times under different circumstances and try and sort of smush them together to say they are the same. No two histories are the same. Circumstances, times, individuals, the way the world sees things are different. What you can do is draw certain similarities, and certainly one can learn lessons. So let's have a look at the differences between what happened in Nazi Germany and what happened in South Africa. So the apartheid regime did not commit a genocide. Genocide meaning trying to kill every person of a particular group under government, with the government's acknowledgement. Why did they not commit a genocide? Not because they loved Black people, but they wanted to use those Black people, cheap labor, where they could do the work that white people did not wish to do, go down the mines, do menial work, do hard labor. And the sweat, the brows of these people oiled the wheels of the South African economy, and people were paid very, very low wages and used really as extremely cheap, almost slave labor. People were classified in South Africa according to skin color, but the Nazis classified people on what they perceived their blood to be. So a Jewish person might have been indistinguishable from a Jewish German, might have been indistinguishable from a Christian German, just looking at them, but the Nazis would say, but they have Jewish blood, therefore they are non-citizens. Apartheid policies were applied in South Africa only, where the Nazis applied their racist laws in all the countries that they occupied. And finally, the Nazis Germany intended to murder every Jewish person, man, woman, or child in all their occupied territories, and of course they hoped to conquer the world. So as I've said to you before, we can't conflate histories. And I'm going to ask you a question. Should we compare pain? Can we compare pain? If a mother has lost her son because he was taken to a prison in Pretoria and beaten to death there, and a mother has lost her son because he was taken by the Nazis and shot dead into a pit in a forest, is the pain of the mother in South Africa any more or less than the pain of the mother in Nazi Germany. I don't think so, grade 9. I think pain is pain. And trying to have hierarchies, oh, what happened to us was worse than what happened to you, or oh, my pain is worse than your pain, is really, as far as I'm concerned, not useful. I don't know if you think it is, but I think that comparisons of pain are really unhelpful. I think what is helpful is to learn from these histories and use them for positive outcomes. What do we do with the history you've just studied about Nazi Germany? You look at things that exist still today. So remember, right in the first unit, we spoke about prejudice. We spoke about stereotyping. We spoke about scapegoating. We spoke about looking at people and not really getting to know them, to understand them. If you don't know a person's deepest pain or deepest story, their family, then you don't know them and you can't judge them. And so from these histories, we learn the consequences of dehumanizing people on the basis of stereotypes and the dangers that this leads to. And I hope, grade 9s, that you have enjoyed this series of units, that they've been helpful for you, and I wish you all the very best. Thanks for watching.